Hello there, my name is Nikolai Bogdan-Bratis from Soil Science Studio, and today we're going to talk about Mp3 tags. What are Mp3 tags, right? So the most common one is known as ID3 tag, which is basically a metadata container that would allow for certain information to be displayed right there, okay? So we're gonna talk about how you could actually embed ID3 tags into your Mp3 files. Also, why you should do that, what's the difference between version 1 and version 2 of an ID3 tag, and also what information you should actually embed in there, right? So let's get straight to my screen so I can actually show you what I'm talking about. So we have here an Mp3 file called Soil Science Podcast Episode 2. Now, to actually embed an Mp3 tag to your file, you would have to use a software, an ID3 tag editor. Now, to do that, you can just go on this website called mp3tag.de, and you will be able to download that software from here. Also, there is a Mac version of the software as well, which is great. And once you download that software, you just install it as any other software, and clicking right on that file, you will find this option here, Mp3 tag, right? You open that software from there, and you will see your Mp3 file displaying into a list. Of course, you can do that on multiple files at the same time, but today we're gonna do it on just one. And right here on the left, you would include certain information about your podcast. Now, I have to mention that this software has a little bug. You have to click on the file before you actually start filling in all this information from here, because otherwise you hit save and nothing gets saved. So click on the file before, so make sure that it looks bluish like that as a selection, and you will be able to add your information. In the artist field, we would add the name of the podcast. Let's say in our case it's called Soil Science Podcast, right? Now, in title, you would add the name of that particular episode, the title of that catchphrase you want to use. For example, in our case, I don't have any inspiration at the moment, so I'm gonna write Best Mics 2022, right? You should include here a better title though, because that would play for you in the search engine optimization, and also having as a catchphrase, clickbait. Now, in the year, you would write obviously the year of when this recording was done. The track, if your podcast is a series of, let's say, 20 podcasts or something like that, 20 episodes, and you know that that's gonna happen, and you know that you're not gonna switch episodes around and things like that, just write the number of the episode. You can write just the number 2, and here you will be able to put the genre, which is obviously a podcast. Now, in the comments, you could write any information like crediting certain producers or the guest. Also, you can put your website in there. Other things you might want to include is copyright infringement notice, anything like that can go in there. So for example, let's say we include our website in our case. Okay. And then also you can include, for example, crediting, right? Credits, Soil Science. Virtually anything you want in there. It's just a blank space for you to write into. Now, after that, you can drag in an image in there, like the artwork of your podcast. In our case, is the logo of my agency, Soil Science. You need a square image that has to be 1:1, right? A ratio 1:1. And certain websites actually recommend that you have a 300 by 300 resolution of your file. So obviously mine is a bit bigger, but for our demonstration, this will just suffice. And you would just hit save. And that information will be embedded into your MP3 file. Now you can see all the details right here, right? And then when you open that file into a media player, you will be able to see that that information is nicely displayed there as well, which is great. Now, I'll show you what happens actually if you don't have all that information there. So for example, let's say we just remove that ID3 tag from this file. So I just created a copy. It has been removed. And if I open it, you see that it looks, basically there's no image, there's no information about the podcast in there. Also, you see that the player is actually different color, because what the player does is taking the most predominant color of the artwork as being the color of the player. So certain players do that. And that's kind of it, like with actually embedding it in, right? Creating an ID3 tag for your MP3. Now, why you should have these in here? Why you need ID3 tags for your podcast? Certain players, podcast players, don't take ID3 tag from the RSS. So when you go and you upload your MP3 file to a host, unfortunately, fortunately, you can add all that information there on the host, but unfortunately, certain players actually don't take that information from the RSS, so the one that the host is actually providing, and they take the information from the ID3 tag. Another reason why you might want to have it like that, just including that information before uploading the file, is that if you want to upload the file, for example, on your WordPress website or on your self-hosted website, right? You would maybe allow for downloading that file. You would allow people to download it. If you don't have that information there, people will just download a file without that information at all. So there's a missed opportunity for you to brand yourself, if that makes sense. So there's a difference between version 1 and version 2 of the ID3 tag. There's a version 1 as well, which is an older version. The main difference is that the version 2 is right at the beginning of the file, so it's embedded at the beginning of the file, and version 1 is at the end of the file, and certain players don't actually take that information correctly if you use the first version of the ID3 tag, right? So this information is actually embedded into the file itself, as you can see, and it's just the way it's actually displayed, the way it's actually embedded into the file. That's what the different versions are all about. Now, this is quite simple. It's not hard to implement. I hope you actually found this video useful. If you want to follow me, you can just subscribe here on my YouTube channel, or you can contact me on soinsign.co.uk for any help. And I hope I'll see you next week. I'm gonna have more videos for you guys. See you, bye.